There's a moment in history every Catholic should know. It was 1309. The popes were not in Rome, but in Avignon, effectively prisoners of the French crown. Their freedom was a fiction, and the secular power decided who led the church. That story seemed over. It seemed buried in the history books. But what happened in the last few weeks, and which I explain in this video, will send shivers down your spine. Let's start with the facts. On April 6, 2026, the American website, The Free Press, published a story that made headlines throughout the Catholic world. In January, U.S. Undersecretary of Defense Elbridge Colby summoned the Apostolic Nuncio to the U.S., Cardinal Christophe Pierre, to the Pentagon. The reason? A speech by Leo XIV to Vatican diplomats in which the Pope warned against the imperialist occupation of the world and urged governments to abandon the desire to dominate others. The Pentagon had interpreted those words as a direct attack on Trump's policies. According to what was reported by the Free Press, and confirmed in part by The Pillar, one of the most reliable Catholic newspapers in the United States, the meeting at the Pentagon was textually tense, at times aggressive. An American official went so far as to evoke the Avignon Papacy, that period between 1399 and 1377, when the popes, effectively prisoners of the French crown, governed the church under the tutelage of a foreign power. The underlying message was clear. If the church continues down this path, it knows where it can end up. The director of the Vatican press office, Matteo Bruni, responded on April 10th with a clear denial. The descriptions of the meeting do not correspond to the truth in any way. The Pentagon called the meeting substantial, respectful, and professional. But there's a second seemingly separate fact you should know. In the days immediately following, while news about the Pentagon was still circulating, Leo XIV received David Axelrod in private audience. And the name Axelrod, for those who follow American politics, needs no introduction. Axelrod was Barack Obama's chief strategist, his political brain. He was the architect of the program that made abortion policies possible in the Affordable Care Act, the contraceptive mandate that forced Catholic institutions to cover contraceptives against their consciences. It was he who built the strategy that led to the legal dissolution of natural marriage in the United States. The hearing with Axelrod went so well that Leo XIV was 30 minutes late for the official hearing with the Italian Olympic Committees. 30 minutes late because the meeting with Obama's brain deserved more time than expected. Let's pause for a moment, put these two facts together, and ask yourself, what do they tell us? This isn't a biased reading. They are facts, and the facts, when put together, speak volumes. On the one hand, Trump's Pentagon summons a papal nuncio and threatens, albeit veiledly, with the analogy of the medieval papacy as a prisoner of political power. On the other hand, the Pope himself, while all this is happening, is having a long conversation with the man who has built the most sophisticated political apparatus hostile to Catholic morality in recent American history. Let's start with the Pentagon issue. The threat of the Avignon Papacy is no innocent illusion. It is one of the most charged images in Catholic historical memory. The Avignon Papacy was one of the darkest pages in the history of the Church. 7 consecutive popes, all French, all under the influence of the French crown. Spiritual authority reduced to a political instrument. That an American official brought it up, even if only elusively, says something specific about the mentality of certain circles in Washington. The Church is a geopolitical actor, and as such, must be regulated. The Vatican's denial isn't enough. The threat was made, and words once spoken leave a lasting impression. This is exactly the kind of pressure the Church has always had to contend with. Gregory VII fought against Henry IV. Innocent III defended the independence of the Apostolic See against the Emperor. Pius XII navigated difficult waters during World War II. The history of the Church is full of popes who found themselves under pressure from secular power and faced it with firmness. The question that every traditionalist Catholic asks himself, reading this news, is only one: is Leo XIV facing it? But there's a second level to this story, and it's, if anything, even more disturbing than the first. David Axelrod is not a diplomat, nor a religious leader, nor a journalist. He is the political technician who built, brick by brick, the legal and cultural structure that has made it more difficult for American Catholics to live their faith. The contraceptive mandate wasn't a whim, it was a deliberate strategy. The battle over marriage wasn't a cultural drift, it was a political project. Axelrod was there, at the center of that project. And today, he is being received in a private audience by the Pope, 30 minutes late for his official engagements. When a Pope receives such a person in a prolonged private audience, what are we seeing? The honest answer is that we don't know for sure. It could be a diplomatic move, an attempt to build bridges with a hostile environment. It could be the manifestation of that diplomacy of mercy that characterizes this pontificate. It could be many things, but what we see from the outside is this. The Pentagon uses the threat of the Middle Ages, and Leo XIV receives the engineer of the progressive cultural revolution. From the outside, it seems the Church is failing on all fronts simultaneously. And here something deeper comes into play. It's not just this single episode, but a pattern. The appointments of recent months are all pointing in the same direction. The new nuncio to Germany, Archbishop van Meegen, is a Francis-era diplomat trained in the global south, aligned with the UN's ecological and interfaith initiatives. The bishop appointed in Lomé, Togo, comes from a diocese where 40 to 60% of the population practices Vodun. The bishop appointed in Oran, Argentina, is openly aligned with Francis's agenda. In the same diocese, ravaged by the Bishop Zanchetta scandal. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's an observation of the pattern. The appointments speak volumes. The private meetings speak volumes. The leadership speaks volumes. The question that remains is, to whom is Leo XIV answering? This isn't a rhetorical question. It's the question every Catholic asks when trying to understand the direction of this pontificate. There are no simple answers, but there are signs, and the signs are converging. And here comes the unexpected answer. The Avignon Papacy didn't end because a king granted freedom to the Church. It ended because Catherine of Siena, a woman, a mystic, a nun, wrote letters to the Pope, one after another, with a clarity that no cardinal had the courage to use. He wrote, "Return to Rome. Have courage, be men." And Gregory XI returned. The issue is not who threatens the Church from outside. The issue is who has the courage to speak the truth from within. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.